I spoke with Admiral Hershey before the rise and fall, but later at the office he would not return my call. And I wonder in the dead of night if it's polite to dance in view of Admiral Hershey's kisses and hard rock candy pants. I spoke with Candy's lawyer about the secret sauce. She said those ballet lessons may have been a total loss. Now I suppose that I'm obliged to redefine my stance regarding Admiral Hershey's kisses and hard rock candy pants.
Hello there, colleagues across town and across the globe. We're going to welcome you to another episode of Witch Hunt with Paul Colby and the investigators. Not only are we going to, but we just did. I'm Paul Colby, the lead investigator for this show, and I always bring a trio of investigators with me. Now, I have a lot of investigators who do the work about the stories, behind the stories, but the ones I brought tonight are especially talented investigators. Let me start by introducing Lou Tennant. Lou is a pretty exciting figure in literature and sports and also film. Literature. He led a failed experiment in reptilian literature. I don't want to go too far into it without letting Lou explain it, but he is also, while he is not busy doing that kind of work, he's the owner of the New Jersey Egg Beaters. Controversial owner, I should say. And he is a proponent for the development of next generation fan motors. I think you'll be interested to hear why he is advocating for new fan motors. Now, let's start with reptilian literature, Lou. One of the most popular books on the New York Times bestseller list in recent years is A Lizard's View of Algebra. How did that come about?
Well, lizards have always, it's a little known fact, lizards have always been very good at algebra. And under the influence of certain desert mushrooms, they communicated that view of algebra to some of our ancestors. And they don't get enough credit because they get those little tiny claws and they just can't write books very well.
Well, I'm sorry I don't have slides for them, but there are other popular books that you are behind, or should I say in front of. One of them, Small Insect Recipes You Can Try at Home. I am very fond of some of those insect recipes. I realize lizards pretty much that's their entire diet, right? But
well, the occasional Big Mac, but yeah.
Okay, and that I suppose is the reason for the book Cold-Blooded and Loving It,
yep.
Right?
That's the lizard's credo, cold-blooded and loving it, man.
And why spines are overrated.
Oh,
that one kind of flopped, didn't it?
No, they're vastly overrated. You can be a member of Congress or the cabinet and have no spine, so it's not an impediment to do anything.
Let's talk about sports. You are the owner of New Jersey's Egg Beaters. The Egg Beaters, they're a team, but what sport is it?
Well, that's been a bit of a challenge, boss, is we don't really know what sport to do. We kind of went out and drafted the best athlete available, but it turns out some of them were chess players, some were football players, and some were rugby players. So we're kind of searching for a sport that we can actually
In other words,
play.
you're unaffiliated at this time because they
Yeah, that's a nice way of putting it, that we're broke. But yes, we're
they
unaffiliated.
haven't decided what they're really good at yet, but they work together well.
Well, let's not go that far. There's some of them actually eat lizards in the locker room, which just
Okay, well,
destroys morale.
here, you're also dabbling in film, and this is a very interesting story. Fan motors. Now, the way I understand it from you is that you were watching one of your favorite movies, and a Stanley Kubrick movie, and you noticed that you could hear a fan motor because they forgot, I guess they forgot to turn it off, right?
Yeah, well, I think, with Kubrick, he does, unlike some other people, he does, 70, 80 takes of each scene. So what happens if the fan is running during all those takes, it kind of runs out of lubrication, it kind of goes,
And so I've heard you say that once you know about the fan motor problem, you really can't unhear it.
Yeah.
And so I watched Love in a Time of Declining Beef Prices again recently, and darned if there's not a fan motor. Rocky 16, you can hear it in there. Jurassic Parking was always a favorite movie, especially they go up to the 10th floor trying to park up there to get away from the Stegosaurus. And you can hear, I thought it was some sort of dinosaur sound, but it's actually one of those fan motors,
yeah,
right?
that's it, boss. Once you hear them, you can't unhear it. I just don't know why more people don't know this, but
Well, okay.
we're doing our best between the two of us to get the word out, but that might ruin the cinematic experience for people.
Yeah, I think people, they sit in the cinema and they eat their popcorn and they don't even notice these things. One person who does notice the fine points is Fran Demonian. And Fran is one of the world's leading authorities on authorities who are not authors. That's a mouthful. And is a spokesperson for veterans with yoga injuries, and has been named by Halftime magazine one of the most interested people, one of 100 interested people in the United States. Let's talk just a minute here about these authorities. I guess you got into it sort of from the back door.
I sure did indeed, Paul. And let me tell you, I fought an authority and I did not win. Turned out I was fighting with a book the entire time.
Well, that's interesting. I mean, I'd heard different explanations, but I believe you because you were there. Some of these authors who are not authorities have written very interesting books. For example, I think we have a slide of using drones to mow your grass. And this is by Eubis Ponto. Now, do you know Eubis personally?
I do. Eubis got me real into drones. I myself, I love them because I just, I'm getting up there in years and I like to use it to make sure my hiney is clear after I do my business in the morning.
Okay.
Very useful for that.
All right. Another authority, authority-less person, an author who is not an authority, I'm talking about Doris Lemustic, wrote a book called Why Lakes Are Full of Water. So were they full of something else before they started using water?
Eczema.
Oh, well, all right. And
It's true. That's true, Peter. It's true.
all right, James,
Paul.
Frank.
Okay.
Yeah, any of them.
I'll get track eventually. I will.
All right. And there's another book I'm fascinated with the book, What Boozers Can Tell Us About Asteroids. What can they tell us?
Well, we all love booze and we all love asteroids, and the author and I personally, back in our day, we did a lot of boozing and a lot of partying. I had to, according to my doctor, I had to cut that out though, unfortunately.
Okay.
But I'll tell you what, we also did a lot of gambling. And have you heard about this gambling that's going on in the sports world right now? Have you heard about this?
I've heard about it, but
There's this basketball, NFL, the CIA, all the sports. They're exposing coaches, players, and everything. And this week, the Baltimore Ravens, their quarterback, they got in trouble because their quarterback, LeVar Burton, they didn't let everyone know that he was hurt. Now, I watch Star Trek. That man is blind as a bat. You don't have to tell me he can't play. Why are they doing this?
okay. I mean, I forgot the question, but you're right. I think you're right.
Thank you. I believe I am.
Yoga injuries is another thing that you talk about a lot.
Those are terrible, yeah.
Of course, we don't have any pictures, but I have heard of some yoga injuries, for example, spontaneous erection.
That's a bad one, yeah.
Yeah, and then funnel vision. A lot of people complain about that. Take some of my yoga classes.
Well,
And then bad hair week.
oh, but there's a reason I wear a hat, boss. There's a reason. And boy, howdy, I don't know how common this one is, but other day because I love yoga myself, I really do. But I was doing that, what they call it, bad dog down, whatever that position is. Tore my own foot clean off. Couldn't believe it.
And is it in a museum now?
No, I have a good surgeon.
Oh,
He
oh,
follows me around. My doctor diagnosed me with CTOE, chronically tripping over everything. So I got to keep a surgeon on hand at home.
Before I go to my next investigator, I guess I'm going to try one more question because I'm a little confused now. But you're one of the people. I mean, supposedly you're one of the most interested people. So what is it that you're interested in?
Well, for starters, as you know, because of the book, my friend the author, I'm interested in lakes, not only lakes, but also tributaries. I'm interested in skunks, because who doesn't love those little scamps? You know, am I right? And also dial tones. When's the last time you heard a dial tone? What happened to those? Is someone keeping them in their attic in a trunk? Or so what happened to dial tones? So I find that very interesting in particular.
Okay, I'm interested now. I have another expert with me. He's an authority on a lot. I'm talking about Daily Bread. He is a creator of self-hate seminars for young moderns and a pioneer in the field of non-elevator music. And then I understand that he is a retired high school chess team coach. He was at St. Richard the Patrolman's in Phoenix, and I have a degree from there. So let me ask Dale. Let me ask you a question here, Dale. You are doing some seminars right now on groveling, because apparently that is one of the ways that people can achieve a certain modicum of self-hatred is with groveling, right?
Well, I have a problem with groveling. You know, it's I really
Could you take that thing off so so I can hear what
are you correct? It's up on.
Okay.
All right. You want to see what it says?
Well, yes.
Groveling.
Groveling, yes.
How is groveling different from just obsequious behavior or
Well,
bootlicking?
well, you know, when there's a musical and you employ something which I like to call a groveling hook, like "Nothing compares to you," right? That qualifies. So if you say it in song, then people are more likely to allow you to kiss their ass properly.
Okay, now you also are a proponent for advancing certain non-elevator type music. I know, for example, you have done an entire album on music for sheet metal factories, and that's kind of a noisy record, isn't it?
Well, it's a nosy music. So I shove it. I put it in my nostril. It's called it's a self-hating Jew's harp.
Okay, and I've also listened to your Polkas for Agnostics record. That's pretty lively. And then you've recently, because you're working with the Department of Defense, you have some music for covert operations. Anyway, I like that one too.
The operation. It's a surgical strike.
Okay,
operation.
Surgical strike. I know you know a lot about those. You've done a few. Chess students of yours have been very successful.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I like to think that you know, anybody can be successful if they stick to it. But apparently, some of your chess playing students are now in the pesticide. I mean, what would we call it? They're exterminators.
Yes. They're on the board, and well, when you the IEDs, it makes it dangerous. The board, and then you lose a hand.
And is it true that you are now working with the government to develop standards for ICE recruitment?
Well, you know, I have. You can tell by my ice chest that I have the stand. This is. I advise. You know, this is proper, right? The protocol right here, right? Because in the military, you can see. Yeah, I was there. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay, boy, that is fascinating. Now, do you still require people to do a certain number of sit-ups?
Yes, you have to. You know, erect your body should be straight, but go forward.
And running a mile and a half, do they still do that?
Yes, you take the immigrant and then the child, and you delicately handcuff them.
And I understand your ICE agent recruits need to be able to speak in complete sentences.
Well, I mean, I'm not. I mean, you know, I teach. I'm an orator, so I expect. You know, there's a high. You know, effective. Public.
Okay. I guess we'll hear a lot more from you about current affairs as we go through them here. But
you can tell. By listening, you know I'm a man of action. So my words speak fewer than my direct the things I do.
Okay, a man of few words.
A few words. I don't say. I'm succinct.
Okay, so speaking of few words, let's turn to current events and let's talk about the president and some of the Republicans. Now, Donald Trump lately has been complaining because he wanted to win the Nobel Prize, but he didn't. He did. Well, I mean, he thought he was more popular than Jesus than when the Beatles were more popular than Jesus. But since he's at war with half of the country, he didn't get the Nobel Peace Prize, but he did get a Fleece Prize. And I think I have a picture of some of the ladies who designed the fleece prize. And I guess it's a one size fits all, sort of a thing. But we have also uncovered a check that was delivered with the fleece prize.
I'm more of an Angora guy myself, because like the goat is the front end, the back end. It's easy to know that like a hot dog, it's very difficult, but a goat is you can kiss the front, you can't kiss the back. It's personal.
Do you yoga and goats? I know you've studied that, right? But you don't recommend it for goats.
Well, is the goat doing the yoga, or are we doing the yoga with the goats? Because I'll tell you, it reminds me of this one time that I thought I was getting a call from Dan Marino. And it turns out I just dropped some peanut butter on the floor. And I slipped in it. And I fell down and I hit my head. And it was comedy. It was the grandkids laughed, the grandkids laughed. And then I forgot about it. And then I slipped in it in the peanut butter again. I did that, Paul. And then I'll tell you what happened next.
Frank.
That happened 3 more times. Yo, James?
Frank, yeah, Frank.
Okay, Kelly Sue, yes. So I forgot about it for and it kept on going. Oh, the grandkids loved it, I tell you.
Well, okay, all right. What I was trying to get at is
I think she got it's a CTE.
CTOE.
CTOE.
I think that's what it's called. I got to call the doc.
Is that something lizards do?
No, lizards are actually quite coordinated. They're not clumsy. I don't want to cast aspersions on anyone.
Lizards
but-
Okay.
lizards, 'cause I know
All
a
right.
few of
Now
them.
we've talked about ice and ice raids, but a lot of people now are outsmarting ICE. They are not being captured because they wear T-shirts that suggest they might be voting Republican. Some of them are also wearing masks.
The masks are not going to protect anyone. Do you understand?
Sorry. It's important that masks are not in the public eye, because after the COVID, you got to be yourself.
Okay. Now, there are some, by the way, some aliens, I guess we would call them, who are welcome. For example, we have Mr. Holman taking $50,000. I think that has something to do with being paid to get in the country or paying to get in the country. We also have money for the new category of HB1. When you spend $100,000, you can pretty much pass go and collect, I know you pass go. I forget what happens after that, but
You get a free Big Mac, I think.
free Big Mac. Okay, you know what it is? The president thinks posse comitatus doesn't apply to him because he's read some papers on posse commie, and he seems to think that justifies whatever he wants to do. And I know lately he has been showing the fake videos of him with his horse nuclear trigger. It's all posse comitatus, but let's explain where he's going with posse comitatus and sending military people in. Basically, it goes back to an executive order that he signed, and he sent an email around about reduction in force. A lot of people think it's reduction in force, but no. He wants to make sure that late night comedy bars stop, and that's why the first place he invaded was L.A. In L.A., of course, now, first of all, he was using some of that money that he got from campaign donors to try to help California fall in the ocean. but that just didn't really work out, and that is why. Well, I guess that's why he was bitter, and he went to L.A. and tried to invade by force. But he also went to Portland. We heard rumors from the White House that there were fires being set in Portland. Now, you were telling me, Lou, that there really were fires, but that the Antifa people were so smart, they would set the fire so that Fox News would film it, and then they would put out the fires so that they could say, what fires?
Yep, I'm the one that gets you this secret info, boss, you know, and so,
You know,
yeah.
and then they said stores are all closed in Portland. Well, I don't think that's true. I mean, they even put signs up saying that the stores were closed. But we went on yes.
It's about I played with my, Dutch oven with my mother, and it's we talk about it's when we use tear gas, and it's a reduction of farts. Reduction of farts.
We went to some places just to see if the stores were open. For example, we went to Bill's Frog Training, and it was open. I know that frogs were a big problem, but you know, they can't arrest people that they can't, you know, see, and a lot of these frogs were pretty small, you know, not as small as lizards, of course.
Well,
the big news in Portland, though, according to Christy Nome, was that they found the girlfriend of the founder of Antifa, and apparently they even have her in one of their fake videos talking about what her boyfriend had in mind. You know, take it with a grain of salt. There was also a write-up in the Chicago Go politics feed talking about Krista Dome, that's her name, being identified as the girlfriend of the Antifa founder. Well, you can believe it if you need to believe it, but I take it with a grain of salt. Now, next stop on the military in the United States was Chicago. And in Chicago, what seems to be happening is that all of the deep dish pizzas are disappearing overnight. According to what you were telling me there, Fran, and my name is Frank or James or you know, what?
I got you, Kelly.
Okay, and what you told me is that all of those pizzas were being delivered to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue before they started tearing it down, right?
That's true. And you know what? They got they were supposed to get in trouble for it, but they got a real Hail Mary on that one. And do you know that the Hail Mary was invented when Roger Staubach, he had to go out and throw that game-winning pass, right?
Yeah.
And
I think I've heard
he
that.
closed his eyes and he threw it, and he said a prayer to Mary Todd Lincoln, and that's why it's called the Hail Mary.
Okay.
To this day.
That's fascinating too. I think also ICE and the military were both looking for the Chicago Bears.
Oh, well, bears and a bunny. We're gonna be. There's a hare. There's a wild hare. It's gonna be the football game, and we're gonna go get the bunny.
What I understood was that the Chicago Bears were some scantily clad cheerleaders for some sort of a team.
Well, you got me on that one. You got all right. Sign me up. You got.
You're looking for bear. The LGBT. The bear.
Anyway, there was a documentary in progress, Gone with the Windy City. I think they had to stop it because things weren't going so well in Chicago. Now, not only was the administration invading certain cities, the invasion included going after some of the people that the president doesn't like. First person was Jim Comey. Well, now there's a story behind that because he being the chief executive had to fire some people in the office who wouldn't play ball and get a new district attorney who could prosecute Jim Comey. Now, her indictment was a little faulty. It looked more like a grocery list than anything else. But the idea was that Jim Comey was leaking. Leaking what? I'm not sure. Cheeseburgers or something. Whatever it was that he was supposed to be leaking, that was the basis of the indictment, along with the fact that there was supposedly a Comey Island where all sorts of things were happening that similar to what happened with Mr. Epstein's island. Now, it was kind of hard to find Comey Island. I mean, we tried to retrace the steps. You go about 100 miles in that direction, and then you go another few hundred miles in this direction, and then you go down a barren... Well, we couldn't find Comey Island. I'm not sure that there is. Now, I know one of your listeners wrote a book about Comey Island, but I'm not convinced.
Yeah, well, we were never able to get that published past the censorship rules, so yeah.
Letitia James, by the way, was next up on the bad person list, and they said that she had an investment property that was suspicious. It turned out to be a taco truck. And it really wasn't a big investment, not the sort of thing that you ordinarily would see an indictment for. But then they said, well, there were all sorts of Antifa meetings that were being held at one of her other houses, a rundown, dilapidated place where Antifa met every so often.
We Antifa. We're gonna break. They're going down. Antifa. They're the worst. Like the brats. The brats are the worst brats. We're gonna take them down.
Okay. All right. I'll take that under advisement now. Adam Schiff was the next person that they went after or tried to go after, and I think the only thing that they could find to complain about Mr. Schiff was that his grammar was pretty good and he spoke in complete sentences.
What a jerk!
I mean, that is bad in the eyes of the current administration. Now,
I met his grammar. She was lovely. I took her on 2 dates. We had a blast. That doesn't seem fair.
I don't think we have a picture of her, so I'm not even going to bother to try. But let me say something about the fourth victim, Mr. John Bolton. Well, a lot of people think it was because of classified information that was in his famous book, but really what they were going after was stuff in books that he didn't actually publish. For example, he had a book he wanted to write called Favorite Foods of Military Men, right? And, well, I guess Hamburger Helpless is the only thing that I remember from that book. That's what you were telling me. We don't really know what was in the book.
No.
We know also he had a book on ice called Behind the Masks. And he was revealing who some of the ICE agents actually were.
They were my sources tell me they were actually, because they're quite tall, so they were NBA players.
And you said that they weren't NBA players, they were from the Grand Opera?
Actually, it was Andy Reid. You know, they call him that because he loves ice cream, and I think they got it confused a little bit. I would know nothing about being confused. I'm always on top of my game, but this is what I've been told.
Okay, well, you're just confusing me, and you're probably confusing.
Wait.
Somebody seems to
Ah,
a phone call.
hello, Mama.
Delbert?
Yes, Mama.
Delbert, is that you on the television again?
Yes, Mama.
What
did I just get done telling you the other day?
I mean, did you? I mean, you told me to stop cussing in front of the squirrels.
No.
You told me to let Cletus out of the basement.
No.
You told me to take the truck nuts off of Granny's walker.
Now listen here, Delbert Erasmus Adolf Radowski. I'm telling
Mom, I'm on the television. I'm in a television show.
boy, don't make me come down there, or I'm a-fixin' to spank you
Okay.
on the Univision.
Yes, Mama.
Now, soon as you get home, I'ma send you next door to get back your daddy's lawnmower from the Chavez family. Okay? And while you're at it, impound those children in the bouncy castle before Jorge and Margarita come too.
Okay, Mama. Yes, Mama.
Now, that's a good boy. Just mind your biscuits and ask yourself, why, who would Jesus extrajudicially, that word, you know, who would he extrajudicially expatriate?
Yes, Mama. Yes, Mama.
So, I guess you've taken care of your business there. Do we have a picture
sorry.
of his mother?
Hey.
Is she the one that? Well, anyway, let me get back to John Bolton for a minute. He also had a book that he didn't publish called "Things I'm Not Supposed to Know." Now, one of the things he was not supposed to know about was that 90,000-foot ballroom that China built on the moon, right?
That's what I've heard, boss.
Anything else that he wasn't supposed to know? I don't want to ask you, Fran. I would just be confused. Trump went to the UN recently, as you know, and while he was there, he had a problem, first of all, with the escalators. Now, he said first thing he said about this was that China apparently was using remote signals to mess up the escalators because they stopped when he got on them, all right? And then he changed his story a little bit. He said that there were some mechanics, very suspicious, some mechanics with cigarette lighters who were messing with the escalator, okay? And then finally he changed it. He said it was Antifa after all, and there was a book, a manual I guess it's called, for what Antifa does to escalators, in particular in the UN. Now, Mr. Trump also complained about the teleprompter. Do you know why?
I don't know. I bet you do, boss.
Well, what I heard from Dale, can I have your attention?
But she's in love with him, and he's trying to protect from there's an illegal right here, right? This is black, and he's got to impound him,
So
take him away because like he's in love with her, and
yeah.
I'm sorry, boss. I'm real invested in this right now. So what happens next?
So and okay, so he's removed, right? It's a removal. It's kind of like is a Heimlich, and he takes him away, and then he sends him back to Africa because and so she loves him, and then they go behind, and it's like a Lewinsky guy. And it's all
If
done.
I could,
Wow, that's real cool.
If I could just bring it back around here, I think the problem with the teleprompters was that he wasn't able to tune in Fox News on the teleprompter. And then he was also talking about how he long ago put in a bid for to put in marble floors at the UN, but apparently nobody wanted a floor made out of marbles. You know what I mean?
I tried that once. That's how I got the CTOE. But boy, it was fun getting that though. Sure was.
Okay, and he lost his marbles, is what you were telling me. That
Yeah, they were eaten by lizards, is what I've heard.
Well, those were pretty small marbles then.
That's right. Well,
yeah.
Lizards are easily fooled into eating inedible objects, so what can I say?
Let me talk for a minute about the Secretary of War. Him and the President addressed some of the military leaders recently, and there were some confusing stories about why he had that meeting. Now, according to my best information, and some of you have told me about this, he wanted to introduce a new recipe for potato salad. Maybe that's what John Bolton knew too much about, because the favorite foods of the military men. But I also now Fran, you told me this, I'm not sure if it's true, that it was about firings, the firing of General Motors and major disagreement. And I think we have a picture of that. I mean, I always thought the problem, though, was with private bath.
Well, this is true, Pranish, because do you know that I got a bath towel that does a fancy dance? Grandkids love it. It does a fancy dance. I say, Grandpa, what's with your bath towel? And I say, oh, here it comes. It does a fancy dance. Fancy dance, fancy dance. And they love it so much they just stare at me like I'm crazy.
And you teach that in the yoga classes also, I guess.
I sure do, but I'm a lot more careful about my foot this time. You know what I mean?
Okay.
There might be there's an order, Child Protective Services.
Who's that?
That's my compadre.
Okay.
Well, that's troubling.
Well, in this lecture that was made to the troops, Mr. Hegseth, the Secretary of War, said that he didn't have any place, and the military didn't have any place for bearded women. And then I think what really got to the military men, because we have a picture of some of them being very angry, it was when Hegseth announced that bingo night on Thursdays was hereby canceled. Am I getting that right, Lou?
Yeah, that was the highlight of most of their lives, was bingo.
The bingo on Thursday, especially overseas, because the bingo was in English, right?
That's right, and they weren't accustomed to anyone speaking English.
The military seems to be a little bit out of control. Right now, Mr. Hegseth, if I can use that title, has been bragging about blowing up Venezuelan so-called fishing boats that are actually drug boats. But correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of these boats with a bunch of tuna, the tuna looks a whole lot like fentanyl or cocaine, doesn't it?
It's a clever way of disguising drugs. You kind of put them inside the tuna and then you sew them up, and so they train cats now to go after because they can tell the real tuna from the fake tuna.
Well, that just sounds like an extra bonus to me. I'm a big fan of disguising drugs.
I thought in the 70s they call in Vietnam they call them Charlie. Well, the tune is the Charlie, and so everything it's the poetry of history.
Okay, to sum it up then, the chief executive has lately been talking about the enemy with fins. I was confused about this at first, the enemy with fins, but there's several things he could be talking about. One of them is the rock group, the Huckleberry Finns. They are not favorites of the current government, okay? And then another possibility, he might have been talking about the late night comedians who drive around in the old fancy cars that have big fins. Or you know about the libertines. These are the out of control youth that the president doesn't like that, and there's a statue.
Isn't that's a type of, it's a cracker. Libertine cracker is the youth who they walk around, they just, it's kind of pale, right? And they drive.
And you would know, I'm sure.
Well, I may have. It's a family matter.
Okay.
Well, you know, I heard about these. I talked with some ops. I go scuba diving a lot, right? So I talked with some ops I know in Atlantis from the Atlantis Falcons, and they're very insistent that the enemy with fins is the Miami Dolphins. Now, we can't prove that, but, you know, we've seen some things happen.
I believe that as well as
underwater London games and all that. It's out of control.
Government, sit down. A lot of people were standing up to Donald Trump recently, and so he said, sit down, and now it's been 4 weeks, and the government sit down continues, right? SNAP is one of the first victims. You know what SNAP really stands for?
It's a fish with fins, right?
No,
the snapper?
it's Suddenly No Assistance Programs. That's what SNAP means, okay? And the government is no longer selling food stamps because of that. Okay, now, there have been some rallies because of this government sit down. For example, this is a souvenir I have. I went to the Snow Kings rally around town lately. These are some guys who were in charge back during the Cold War. And a lot of
I like that one. Yeah.
A lot of people prefer them. I've heard there are other demonstrations planned.
Well, we're cracking down on demonstrations because the Nose Kings, we're cracking down.
Nose Kings, yeah, and there's a no smoking demonstration going on soon.
All that powder, we're gonna go get them.
So are those American carrots, or are they subject to tariff because they're imported from Mexico?
They're subject to tariff, all right. I mean, you tariff it. I tried to tariff one off, and it wouldn't.
It probably just snapped off in your hand.
It broke.
That can happen. There's a subtle technique to removing a carrot from a snowman.
I want to talk about some things that are happening in the economy. First of all, bridges are being burned. And I don't mean just allegorically. I mean literally. Trump is burning some bridges, especially in the blue states. Right? Right, Dale?
I mean, if we can infiltrate and exfiltrate, we're on it. We're on it.
Okay. And then another thing in the economy that I'm trying to figure this out. There are firings. I've seen pictures of some gentlemen whose pants seem to be on fire. You see smoke coming from the posterior regions, and I think that's because they're being fired.
Well, actually, I think it ties back into burning bridges, because I had some dental work done, and I got a dental bridge put in, and when I had some hot sauce that really set it off like it was on fire, and boy, when it ran its way through, my pants were on fire as well.
Okay, and you've heard about the TikTok deal now. It used to be that the Chinese were spying on the Democrats and the left, but now the government, the FBI in particular, is going to, with the new TikTok deal, they're going to be spying on American citizens, so it'll be more efficient. And of course, the brawl room. Well, that's one of the things, you didn't want to say it, but you told me privately that's one of the things that John Bolton knew about was the plans for the brawl room. Now, originally it was going to be pretty small and on the site, but not, it did not involve tearing down the leased wing. So the brawl room was going to host a bunch of events like ICE agents versus, I mean, you were just demonstrating for us what some of these brawls would have looked like. But where the focus is now is on naming the brawl room. And the names that I have heard most often sound more like nightclubs, like they want to call it Ghislaine's. Ghislaine's, you know, it has kind of a ring to it.
We have codes for that. We call it the UFC KFC for the NPCs.
They also are thinking of calling it McDonald's 2.0.
I don't care what you call it. I love a good brawl room. I used to, back in the day, I used to you just jump in head first, you know, bam, bam.
I've heard that you did that. Now the administration...
That may explain some things, I think, Fran.
Oh, my doctor told me I had to stop, Jillian, but yeah, I still,
He's
you know,
Frank.
if I could, oh, he's Frank?
I'm James.
All right, who am I?
Kelly.
Okay, good to know, thank you.
Oh, and
Thank you for
that's
doing me a
Dale over
That's
there.
Dale.
Dale.
All right.
Dale is my other brother.
Over the
Forget.
dale and through the woods, that's the mnemonic I
Okay,
used to remember.
higher
Good to know
education.
yelling.
Higher education. The administration is also warring with higher education. And you've probably heard that certain history departments are being shut down. Well, Yale has a history of departments because there are a bunch of government agencies that don't exist anymore. So they have a history of departments which the administration wants to shut down. And the administration also wants to fire all of the experts that don't understand how you can reduce things by 1,000%. You see what I mean? That's a game, you know.
Who?
Well, you have to know algebra, boss, and Fran's whatever her name is.
I don't know.
In
Okay.
her defense, she's not a lizard,
I
so
don't-
she's not going to
never met
know
a-
algebra.
Algebra, I don't know. Who
In
she is.
higher education, the administration is also trying to introduce new things into the political science agendas. For example, the book by Mr. Cowbell, you've probably read it, How Nut Jobs Saved Earth from the Commies. A lot of your universities refuse to include this in the required reading. Another one, biology departments are being attacked because they are being asked to include some things that Robert Kennedy Jr. wanted to include. For example, the new book by Eugenio Flepp, Why Our Sperm Whale Ancestors Died Out.
I'll tell you why, because they didn't have the access, but we get in anywhere, so that we do lock out the whales.
Yeah, you know, I've heard that you have unlocked doors for a lot of young people. Is that, I guess you use some of those.
The keys to my success is right here.
Boy, that is exciting to see.
What I heard is when they were, remember, boss, they used to have a lot of airships before the Graf Zeppelin blew up, so they had a lot of those skins, and so they converted those to whale condoms, and that's why the sperm whales are dying out.
Okay. Health is something that Americans are concerned about, and the administration, once again, here Mr. Kennedy was saying that Tylenol seems to be linked Well, it turns out it is linked to pain reduction, but that is apparently a problem for some of the president's supporters who don't believe pain should be relieved, because this administration is about producing pain for us.
Let me clarify. So it believes that the Tylenol leads to circumcision, leads to autism.
Of course, the warning from the administration in particular was that pregnant men should not take Tylenol, and I can see the logic.
No, let me tell you something though. I was I've been hearing about this, the Tylenol and the whatnot. My father, when he was pregnant with me, he put Tylenol in his Bloody Marys every morning, and I turned out fine. So, algebra. I just got it. Algebra. You remembered. He was my left guard in 1978. Oh, God, what an unfortunate ending.
Of course, the administration does have a plan to replace Obamacare and things like it. It's being called Trump Care. I think it should be called Trump Doesn't Care. But for just $30 a year, you'll have no dangerous vaccines. You won't have to wait in line for anything. There won't be any of the so-called proven remedies, or medical disclosures. I have my doubts. I have my doubts about it. It seems to me like it's all meant to distract from the Epstein files. And as a matter of fact, we just had you were showing me that somebody actually has the appointments book now, right?
Yeah, it took a lot of investigative reporting, but he delivered the goods. So.
Yeah, he really did. But let's talk about Texas Republicans just for a minute, because I can't let them off the hook. There is very near to me at Westheimer and Taft specifically, there used to be a very colorful crosswalk, which the governor of Texas said, no, you can't have this. Let's paint it over. We can't have things with political messages. But the ones that he suggested seem to me to be very much political messaging. I mean, the one with the elephants, I can see there might be a harmless explanation, but the ones with the donkeys were just kicked out. A lot of people say, who cares about crosswalks anyway? Well, I remember some guys who were pretty interested in crosswalks. There's one way out west, a crosswalk it's got Greek lettering, and I think it translates to Delta Sigma Epsilon Foxtrot. That's what this is about, really. It's a secret society, and I know that Delta Sigma Epsilon Foxtrot has a doctrine.
And what would that be, pray tell, boss?
That doctrine is many white males ejaculate prematurely. I'm not sure what that means exactly.
Circumcision, autism.
Autism, yes. Let's talk a little bit about the economy to close it up, because I know people are complaining about things in the economy, but it's not all bad. For example, you were telling me about a product that is just hopping off the shelves right now, craw milk.
It's been a little tough to, we started out with a small pilot program, and now we're scaling it up. So getting industrial machines that can milk crawfish has been a bit of a challenge, honestly, but I think we're there.
I notice something seems to be different there.
I'm Batman.
Okay.
Well, this guy seems like he might have some brain damage. I don't know about it.
It's good to
rest
have
of
you aboard. I hope we weren't paying scale.
I think it may be. I think he had a yoga injury, I believe, is what may have caused the.
Another
what did
product-
you call it?
Another product that's hopping off the shelves, so the Diddy combs are selling out so fast, nobody can keep them in stock. One thing that I have seen overpriced, if you're asking my opinion, is the corn-fed bilingual spinach. It's now $12.99. But you were telling me there's a way around that. One of you told me there's a way around spending $12.99 on your spinach.
Yeah, you steal it.
Well, not that. I mean, I thought it had to do with the regular spinach that was not bilingual.
If you buy spinach that only speaks Merkin, it's only $2.99.
So-
we don't need none of the stinking bilingual spinach. I'll tell you that much right now.
I texted my spinach yesterday to ask, and it turned out I goofed again. It was Roger Goodell. He wasn't very happy.
Well, he is a bit of a green leafy vegetable, so I can understand why he made that mistake.
Speaking of money and things attached to money, one of the people making a comeback lately is your old friend and mine, George Santos. He's back, according to a lot of business type magazines lately. I always read Cryptocurrently. You know, I get a lot of information from that. And one thing that I found out is that George Santos will now be gracing some of our currency, in particular the $3 bill.
That's after, I believe he's got a photo shoot for Cosmopolitan cover scheduled before that. But after that,
Yeah.
I think he'll be on it.
Well, anyway, as usual, we're trying to bring you the news, the good news and the bad news, and just stuff that you can use that other people are not telling you about. And that's about all of it that we can get to for this week. But of course, we'll be back and with insights like yours, Stanley, or was it Jerome?
Elizabeth, I believe.
Elizabeth,
you know,
yeah.
I got to call the doc about that one because I'm drawing a blank.
And in any case, and Dale, I know you have to get back to work because you guys work 23 hours a day. And Lou, I hope your next ventures turn out to be profitable. It looks like you're kind of on a losing streak right now.
It's only been it's a 50-year losing streak, so I think it'll turn around soon.
Okay, I hope everything turns around for all of you out there too. And until next time, that's all for Paul Colby and the investigators. Have a nice rest of the year.